South Africa took Israel to court over genocide in front of 15 judges who like don't seem like they have billionaire sugar daddies, but you never know.
Sorry,
Um,
I mostly watch MSNBC. When did that happen?
cries, swims away in her own tears. Um, so disappointing. Like truly one of the biggest moments I think in political history. Just in terms of the ways that I think we all think, hey, what if we used courts to actually stop current heinous crimes as they're going on? Um, but again, libs don't like to jump on that stuff until 50 years in the future, and then they'll make a movie about Netanyahu and how much he like struggled to kill that many people. Um, but anyway, so they set out to prove that Israel was doing genocide through 5 ways: mass killings of Palestinians, preventing Palestinian births, destruction of the healthcare system, forced displacement, food blockade, and bodily and mental harm. Check, 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 check. And from jump, Dave, I don't know how much you watched, but I want to play 3 clips. One of them was just like from jump, you're like, oh, they did not come to play.
No.
And it's when Vusimuzi, all these names I will pronounce wrong, Madonsela got up there, and he just like, this is the preamble, very short, but sort of why they're bringing this and kind of their deep understanding of the Palestinian struggle.
In our application, South Africa has recognized the ongoing Nakba of the Palestinian people through Israel's colonization since 1948, which has systematically and forcibly dispossessed, displaced, and fragmented the Palestinian people, deliberately denying them their internationally recognized inalienable right to self-determination and their internationally recognized right of return as refugees to their towns and villages in what is now the State of Israel. We are also particularly mindful of Israel's institutionalized regime of discriminatory laws, policies and practices designed and maintained to establish domination, subjecting the Palestinian people to apartheid.
Okay, but like, what does South Africa really know about apartheid?
I mean, I love the thing where they go, well, maybe South Africa shouldn't be the country doing this. As if you're like, you know what? If a woman has been domestically abused, she's not the one that should talk about abusers. Like, come on.
Exactly.
Those are the people who are going to be like, no, we're not doing this again. Those are the first people that are going to step up. Always.
Yes. And this is, so he mentions Nakba, right? The 1948, expulsion, violent expulsion of Palestinians from their homes. Like, this is like the 20th word out of his mouth is Nakba, which was like, oh, because my mind was like, well, how narrow are they going to go? Are they going to just talk about this one particular war? And it's like, no, they are couching this, and they don't, linger on it, but they're couching this in the context of this broader colonial project and apartheid project against the Palestinian people. So I thought that was fire from the get.
And I would wager to say that most people in the world have not heard of the Nakba, and
Right.
now, and a lot of people now know about the Nakba. A lot of people do now.
For sure. I will say though, the Americans are uniquely ignorant when it comes to this.
I mean, it's really incredible.
Like, I feel like an average white South African, and I'm sorry, not to discriminate, but white South Africans are probably one of the more obnoxious people on the face of the earth. Okay, Dave is nodding his head. When they're like, telling us, there's apartheid going on over there. I can't do a South African accent. But then you're like, okay, I can't believe they have that in their court or in their lane. Anyway, the point is, it went on. I want to play 2 more clips. One clip is from Mr. Tembeki. I wrote this out, but I'm sure it's wrong. Kukatobi. And he talks about the genocidal intent, because that's what they have to prove, right? Is that there was an intention to do genocide, not just in what is happening, but the intention to do it. And he does this by talking about how Netanyahu and others have invoked the biblical term of Amalek, of destroying this, the Amalekites who tried to kill you, so you must kill them and destroy them. And this was an incredibly moving and scary piece of their case.
Were not intended, they would not have been made. The genocidal intent behind these statements is not ambiguous to the Israeli soldiers on the ground. Indeed, it is directing their actions and objectives. On 7 December 2023, Israeli soldiers proved that they understood the Prime Minister's message to remember what the Amalek has done to you as genocidal. They were recorded by journalists dancing and singing. We know our motto, there are no uninvolved, that they obey one commandment, to wipe off the seed of Amalek. The Prime Minister's invocation of Amalek is being used by soldiers to justify the killing of civilians, including children. These are the soldiers repeating the inciting words of their Prime Minister.
Okay, so he says, they sing, I'm coming, something, 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 Hezbollah. I stick to one mitzvah to wipe off the seed of Amalek. Lay. Sorry, I think this translation is direct. They're jumping in a circle. These are a bunch of IDF soldiers, obviously. I left home behind me. Won't come back until victory. We know our slogan. There are no uninvolved civilians. Back to the Lele's. Yeesh. Okay, so I'm just going to pause here. This is the end of the clip, but I really like the Israeli side and their faces, which are just like, ooh, I don't know how we're going to... Oh, I really thought we had destroyed that clip. But then again, IDF soldiers are just taking a TikTok to brag about what they're doing. And there they are singing, yeah, there are no uninvolved civilians. Like, I just see them scratching off that defense like the next day. Like, we're very clear about who's Hamas and who's a civilian. Fuck, you know. So yeah, that I thought was, I'd never seen that clip, Dave. Like, I've seen
that one either. I've seen a bunch, but not that one.
I mean, it's truly scary, and it literally is like, oh, Netanyahu just gave this speech. We're going to talk about Amalek. We're going to, you know, talk about like the no one involved civilians, which is something that other Israeli officials and leaders have said, that this distinction between, you know, Hamas and guilty civilians or not, there is no distinction.
Right.
Anyway, final moments, which I thought were really moving after this is Blin ni Garali.
Oh, I could ruin. I could ruin.
Blin. I'm calling her Blin. I think it's Blin. B-L-I-N-N-E. Blin. Anyway, she basically lists like how many people every day are dying in Gaza, how many mothers, how many children, how many doctors, how many teachers, how many people at risk of starvation. It's devastating, right? And then kind of offers this final plea, basically like, look, South Africa is doing what we can right here, and we have the power to stop this.
The international community has repeatedly failed. It failed the people of Rwanda, it had failed the Bosnian people and the Rohingya, prompting this court to take action. It failed again by ignoring the early warnings of the grave risk of genocide to the Palestinian people, sounded by international experts since 19th of October of last year. The international community continues to fail the Palestinian people, despite the overt, dehumanizing, genocidal rhetoric by Israeli governmental and military officials, matched by the Israeli army's actions on the ground. Despite the horror of the genocide against the Palestinian people being live-streamed from Gaza to our mobile phones, computers, and television screens, the first genocide in history where its victims are broadcasting their own destruction in real time in the desperate, so far vain hope that the world might do something. The world should be absolutely horrified. The world should be absolutely outraged. There is no safe space in Gaza, and the world should be ashamed. South Africa is here before this court in the Peace Palace. It has done what it could. It is doing what it can by initiating these proceedings, by seeking interim measures against itself as well as against Israel. South Africa now respectfully and humbly calls on this honourable court to do what is in its power to do, to indicate the provisional measures that are so urgently required to prevent further irreparable harm to the Palestinian people in Gaza, whose hopes, including for their very survival, are now vested in this court.
So that was that final plea. And she's just, she talks about, she shows that whiteboard where a doctor, I believe, I can't remember which hospital wrote, whoever is the last person here, tell our story.
Yeah.
And she shows photos of that and then shows that same whiteboard on the ground, bullet ridden. And, it's like, South Africa's here. This is what we can do. We're calling on ourselves. And I think that what she means by that is whatever, and this is why I think Israel's kind of shook, whatever embargo, whatever thing we need to not do, whatever thing we should do, like whatever we can do with our behavior, we're here to say we are willing to do it. So she's basically invoking, she's like, South Africa's not innocent. Like if there's something we need to do to stop this genocide, we will do it. And then is like, yeah, this is what we have to do. This is the only thing that we can do. And here we are doing it. So anyway, incredibly moving. However, Israel did say Hamas was to blame, Dave. So I feel like
I've been accused of being in Hamas a few times at this point. It's crazy to watch the Israeli response to that. I think didn't Netanyahu just say, yeah, we're just gonna keep doing it. I mean, that was basically his reply.
Yeah, Biden's behind the scenes tactics are not working, and they're especially because the dude knows, Netanyahu knows if the war is over, like he's probably out as prime minister for a multitude of reasons. Very much not related to the fact that there is a genocide going on, but more in
that
terms
seems to be okay. What they seem to be upset with is his reaction for a long time, but also what happened at the border on the 7th with Israeli soldiers and
that they knew about it like a year in advance.
A lot of stuff. Yeah, so there's a lot of people that want Netanyahu out, but I haven't seen anybody say because of what's going on. I haven't seen.
There's a small peace movement within Israel. I don't want to discount them. I hope we're going to have some of those folks on this show at some point too. But I do want to say before we leave this story that South Africa has also put the United States literally on notice. This is a letter from South Africa to the Honorable President, Vice President, and Secretary of State. Notice of intention to hold the government of the United States of America liable and complicit for the ongoing international crimes perpetrated in Israel, Palestine against, missing an S there, the Palestinian people. We hereby place the government of the United States of America on notice that we intend to bring legal proceedings against the U.S. government based on overwhelming evidence that the U.S. government has and is aiding, abetting, and supporting, encouraging, and providing material assistance and means to Israel and the IDF. This conduct by the U.S. has enabled and continues to enable Israel to engage in international crimes against the Palestinian people. These crimes result in, amongst others, the displacement of the Palestinian people from their homes and property, destruction of Palestinian property, theft of Palestinian land, etc., 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 blah, blah, blah. Yes. Well, all of this on notice.
I mean, I'm surprised they did that before they waited for the verdict to come in, because it's a pretty open and shut case against Biden. In the Geneva Conventions, it says just very simply, if you provide weapons to people doing a genocide, you are guilty of genocidal conduct. So it's just very, very simply spelled out. So if they do say this is a genocide, that's it. Biden's cooked.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and we won't know the results of the ICJ's ruling for potentially years. But
why would you make that ruling now? Why why expedite it is what I'm saying. Take your time.
Exactly. It's not like, well, and that's what South Africa, they initially started. They were like, look, thank you for calling this hearing now. The problem for me is I'm like, good on ICJ for doing it now and having like them present their case and the defense immediately. But then you can't wait that long when there's like a genocide going on, right?
Right. You're saying go ahead and finish it off, and then we'll decide what it was, which is like you just watch this whole thing playing out,
Yeah.
and it's just insane to watch. I don't think a lot of Democrats understand how much they have broken something in a lot of people.
Oof, yes.
This has never happened before. I'm in my mid-50s. They broke something, and they're not going to be able to put it back together. And right now, there's a lot of thinking like there's a lot like the blacklisting and stuff with people saying we're going to blacklist you if you don't support Israel. They also don't get like as the wheels turn, they might be the ones people don't want to work with.
Yeah.
If you're a writer and you're saying I'm going to blacklist people who are also writers who are against Israel, people might not want to work for you.
Yeah.
That this goes both ways. And
It
as
does.
time turns, the worm turns. But I don't know where this goes, but right now I've never felt like this in America. I have
think that's
zero interest in continuing this whatever we're doing, this process of America. It's a fucking disaster and I want it to go away. The country. I think that we need to razz it and start over again.
dude,
This is
straight
a
up. Just
disaster.
shake it like an Etch-a-Sketch.
And it's not just me. I talk to my liberal relatives. They're done.
Yeah.
They don't get what they've broken. They've broken something.
Yeah.
And they don't know.
Yeah, I think that is an incredible way to put it. And I think what South Africa did here is they said, look, we know we're not popular now effectively. We are banking in history proving us correct. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do it.